I have partner where I only take like 20% of stake, but I have no money in the deal. I have to find the deal. I have to manage a deal. And for new investors, if you guys are listening, try to not think about the money that you can make now, but the experience that you can, and the experience and the relationship.
Welcome to the Cash Flow Chronicles. I'm your host, Jonny and the founder of Catani Capital Group. For the last 2 years, I've been studying alternative assets and now help solve the problem of creating passive cash flow for creators, influencers, and busy professionals by bringing you 5 episodes a week of easy to understand education in the world of passive investing. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Cash Flow Chronicles. I'm your host, Jonny, and I am joined today by Bernal. Andres is a real estate investor in Connecticut who reached financial freedom through rental income. Originally from the Dominican Republic, came to the United States 10 years ago with $500 in his pockets and 2 suitcases to play professional tennis. Today, he has a tennis academy and a portfolio of 32 doors. He is now enjoying traveling to different places in Europe. Andres, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Very excited and happy to be here.
Yeah, we're stoked to have you. It's always good to have someone on who's reached financial freedom. That's ultimately the goal here of the podcast, is to help people reach that financial freedom. So before we get into all of that, I know everyone's curious, kind of your story. So let's go back a little bit, kind of start with, obviously you came here to play tennis, kind of touch there, and then what led you to real estate and where you're at now.
Yeah, so my story started in 1989. I'm just kidding. So I was born and yeah. Could you imagine that? I was born and raised in the Dominican Republic. Grew up in a low to medium income household. My dad is a grinder. He just works a lot, and my mom, sweetheart, supports him all the time. Basically, I just played tennis all my life. My dad introduced me to it. Hated it, but then end up liking it. Fast forward, 17 years old, I represented my country in like the World Cup, whatever. Got in a scholarship for here in the U.S. To play tennis professionally, to play tennis in college. Sorry, and then after I graduated from college, I was just let me try to this professional route, and it didn't go quite as I wanted to, but I reached, I think, a level that a lot of people haven't reached, I guess, right?
Nice. And then, so how did you discover real estate in there?
Well, it was like my landlord actually was kicking me out, not because I was not paying rent or that, but because he wanted to sell the house. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna rent anymore. This feeling is awful. I cannot do renovations in my house. This wall looks awful, whatever. I didn't even know you can request that to landlord, but I'm like, I'm just gonna buy my own place. So I started buying my own place, and one of the things that I did was like, okay, I want to buy my own place, but if I move out from my own place, can I rent this apartment? Is it in a good area? Can I rent this apartment? Can I do all the things? Can I increase the bedrooms count, the bathrooms? And I highly encourage the people to think like that, because again, with all this technology and jobs are moving a lot, you never know when you're gonna end up. So what if you cannot sell the house? Can you rent it out at a good price? Can you rent it out and it makes sense if you rent it out? So that's exactly what I did. I bought my first condo. If I rent it out, I was thinking, well, I can make $200 to $300 in cash flow, right? So yeah, and it worked. I guess it worked. I moved out 2 years later, and then from then I bought a 3-family. I house hacked. I live in the 3rd unit, and then I realized, like, okay, making 60 grand a year back in that was 2017, 60 grand a year. I want to scale. I want to be a real estate investor, but I don't have obviously the money. 60K, you might be able to house hack once a year and buy one property, which is okay. And then that's when I discovered partnerships and creative financing. So yeah, it's been a ride.
That's awesome. Yeah, it just goes to show, right? If you want something, you can go out and get it. And that's why I love real estate so much, because if you can think it in real estate, it's possible to do. Like we've had people on this pod, you know, who like trade land, right? Like he's just like, yeah, one day I was at a land auction and turns out, you know, and now he's made millions trading land. So talk about, obviously you got 32 doors. Is that still what your portfolio is?
Yeah, that's correct. We're actually closing on 4 unit that I was actually closing after this podcast, but it got delayed, so we're closing next week. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So are you primarily now using traditional financing, or are you still trying to use creative financing whenever you can?
Yeah. Last time I used traditional financing was probably September last year. Cookie cutter, conventional, 20-25% down. But now we're using other people's money. We're using private money, and basically these are, you know, doctors, lawyers that want a safe return. They don't believe in the stock market. They don't believe in bank, and they are looking for people like you, Jonathan. That, you know, you have a group. They're looking for people, individuals like me, where they have experience, they know what they're doing, and they just want a safe return back from real estate. So yeah, the last probably 8 deals, it's been raising funds for buying these deals. And you know, yeah, I don't recommend that to people that are brand new, because you gotta know how to analyze these deals and all that. But I will highly suggest for your listeners, like if you have some money, try to look for people that are actually doing it and try to learn from them, you know? So, yeah.
Absolutely. That's definitely something we talk a lot about on the podcast, is finding someone, you know, more experienced, adding value to the relationship however you can, whether it's money, finding deals, boots on the ground. There's a lot of ways to add value to someone. So now you're obviously using other people's money. How do they find you, and what kind of deals are you typically looking for?
So right now we're buying deals. We're buying deals from flips to buying like long-term buy and holds. And our model is just to get money from people, professionals, and then 6 months later just refinance, or 3 months later refinance, depending on how much we raise. But typically what I'm good at is finding really good deals. And when I say good deals, is deals like if the market crash or we have a correction, right? Which I don't think is going to happen, but if it does, we're still good, can refinance and can pull either majority of our money or most of it. So we're raising actually through Instagram and Facebook. It's and these are people that I've been working with a few years. Also, we're raising from people from my other businesses. So I have a tenants destruction business, and my partner has a credit card business. So we're reaching out people that we have worked with. I have like parents that of kids that I train that trust me, because again, it's been a few years. It's been a lot of talk, and my social media and my Facebook and my Instagram is backing everything that I'm saying. So one of the things that I highly recommend to people is just like document your journey, whether you're like renting or like you are an investor. Hey, I'm painting the walls, I'm fixing the toilet, I'm putting the new floors. Oh, hey, I just got a meeting with Jonathan from Catani Capital Group, and these groups, and like just document your journey. You don't have to edit, you don't have to do any of these like fancy things. Like just like document it, and like people start trusting you. I have one gentleman that I have never met, and because of Instagram in my videos, we raised 150 grand from it.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And that goes to show, right? You got to get the track record first, right? Before people will really trust you. And that looks different for a lot of people, right? For you kind of proved your concept. Now you can probably do it in your sleep, right? Especially in your home market, which is, where you kind of stay. Do you find there's a lot of competition? Well, let's say this first. What have been, there's a lot of different ways to find deals, and let's say we're talking to someone brand new, right? With all the different ways to find deals, cold calling, mailers, all this stuff, where would you suggest people typically start?
So I think networking, everything in real estate, I understood this like 6 months ago, even though I've been investing for like 6, 7 years now, right? If you want to, have a good leads in your desk, you need obviously like what I call a funnel, right? And is everything that can bring you a lead. Now, certain markets and certain condition can bring you more deals than others. For example, for us, networking has been the main source of leads, right? Postcards and cold calling has been a small, but there's one way that a lot of people, I will say, disregard, and it's the timing. And when I say the timing is, we have systems where when something comes on the market, me or our realtor are literally texting or emailing that agent first thing. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get in the door before anybody else. So we find motivations like, hey, we don't have for example, one of the things, hey, if I don't have a realtor, right, for that particular market, hey, we don't have a realtor, we don't have representation right now. Would you like to get double commission? Like, we don't care. We're not paying for that, right? So, or like, I can give you an offer and I can send you an offer right now with no inspection or contingencies within 24 hours. Even though we advertise that in like postcards and like cold calling and all that, we also do this with realtors. And we have bought maybe at least 4 deals out of like, 30 deals for just like that. And it's true because the market's still competitive. You can see that when you see like the realtors appointments, you can see that they post the house today for sale, and then the next day they have 15 appointments. And we know that if we get to that point, we're gonna lose. So we are trying to get it on the contract the same day. Obviously, you have to find motivation and all that, and that's something that you get in a call. But if you cannot get in a call, we're trying to be fast, and yeah, so far so good.
Okay, I like it. So again, just goes back to networking, of course. Like, it's just the number one. This is a relationship game, business, whatever you want to call it. It's all about who you know. And I tell people too, you'd be surprised, even within your kind of close personal network, right? Starting with your friends and family, you'd be surprised how many people know someone, right? If you just go and ask. But you're never going to know if you don't ask, if you don't start talking to people, if you don't start posing yourself as sort of like the real estate person or the expert, like, hey, I'm looking to get into real estate and find deals. Here's what I'm looking for. You'd be surprised how many people can be like, oh, wow, I actually do know someone who could probably help you,
Absolutely, absolutely. And let me tell you like the drawback that a lot of people don't know is that, like, in social media, we are getting actually deals out of social media. And the way that it works is, we go to a meetup, we meet like a wholesaler, right? Or somebody like a realtor, whatever. That person doesn't know. I can say I have $100 and I can be a bad person, but if I'm presentable and if I'm good, if I show who I really am, which I think is a good person, and then that person sees my Instagram and that person sees the type of properties that I buy through my social media, we getting deals. I getting deals in my DM at least one a day. And the reason, and a lot of people also don't understand, and it's like, I have lost a lot of followers, which I don't really care, but I lost a lot of followers, and I noticed, and I'm like, oh shoot, why I lost? And these are people that actually don't want to know anything about real estate, and that is like the price that I have to pay. But I'm willing to pay the price every day because my intention is trying to get good deals, build good relationships, and actually teach people the good and bad about real estate. And like, if you're not willing to stay, like, I'm sorry, but you gotta go.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the thing, is I think so many people are afraid of the backlash that may come from their network for, being a certain way or doing a certain thing. But, you just have to go out and like we were saying, if you want it bad enough, you're going to find a way to get it, right? But if you just kind of want it, it's not really going to come.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I love it. So on the creative financing side, that's one thing that I think so many people get afraid of creative financing because, they don't really understand how it works. So kind of touch on, some things to look for and how to ask for it, first and foremost. And then, what some typical terms can look like so people can kind of have an understanding of, what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, with creative financing, first you have to understand that in the worst case scenario, if you're afraid of like losing people's money, you have to also understand that these people are not going to give you money if you're not willing to risk it. And I know it sounds maybe terrible, and I'm not saying that you should do creative financing if you're trying to force the deal to work out. I'm saying is that try to educate as much as you can. And then with the creative financing, there's a lot of things like subject to seller financing, but there's other things like partnerships. I have a partner where I only take like 20% of stake, but I have no money in the deal. I have to find the deal. I have to manage a deal. And for new investors, if you guys are listening, try to not think about the money that you can make now, but the experience that you can, and the experience and the relationship. I remember my third deal, I had no money in. I was making 20%. I was making like $100 or $200 a month. But the relationship that I have with these people, I have made probably 6 figures only with the partnerships on my third deal. And these people, when they have a project, guess who's managing it? And guess who's putting the renters there? It's me. When I need money, guess what I'm getting it from? It's from them. So like, I think about the long-term picture, not only like what I can take now. And this is one of the mistakes that the new investors make. They're just trying to make like a lot of money, but they don't have any experience. Like, try to get the experience and you'll see how the money is going to come out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that so much. That's such a great point because, again, so many people do get caught up, and you can make a lot of money, and you will if you do this correctly, right? It's a get rich slow scheme, as they call it in real estate. But
yeah,
you have to do it correctly, which is take the small piece in the beginning, right? Understand that the experience that's going to come is going to pay you exponentially in the long run, as opposed to like, no, I want 80% up front, or I'm going to do the deal all by myself. Talk about in the beginning, maybe some deals that went south and some mistakes you made and lessons that you learned.
I will say, well, so far, I made plenty of mistakes, and I'm grateful that the mistakes that I made has been very minimal in the sense of like profit loss. But one of the mistakes that I made was that I bought 3-family, and the renovation it was $70,000, and we ended up spending $105,000. And this is like 3 years ago. Which now, even though I made that mistake and I felt awful and like I couldn't sleep for months, this is real. Now we're so good. We have a lot of equity, but I will highly suggest that if you are, even though there's a new trend of putting offers with no contingencies, no inspection, and none of that, I will highly suggest that you walk in with a contractor that actually you trust, or try to get bids of what is the scope of work or what's actually happening. And I didn't do that. I went, even though I have a background in construction, I made a $35,000 mistake. And I will highly suggest for you, for any of your audience here, to like walk with a contractor, or pay them also. Like, don't expect that their time is free. I have paid $200 to $300 to have a contractor next to me. But guess what? If I don't get the deal, I ask questions and I get the education from the contractor. So and they don't mind giving it to you. You know, you can ask many questions. So and if
Wow.
that contractor, yeah, and if the contractor like say like, oh, is giving you short answers, that shouldn't be your contractor.
Yeah. Gosh, that is gold right there. Absolute gold. So, so important right there. I love that. Paying for that education, learning right there. And if people know, finding a good contractor can be very, very challenging, but man, they are worth their weight in gold when you find a good one. What's a good way to, you know, again, it goes back to networking. Networking is the best way to find one, but what's a good way to keep one, right? Like keep them around so they keep wanting to do deals with you.
To keep a good contractor?
Yeah.
So if you're looking to find good contractors, all you need to do is three things. Number one, you have to be upfront and set expectations about what you want. Example, you can say, I want these walls to have no holes. I want it, you know, sanded. This is a rental, so it doesn't have to look perfect, but it has to look decent. I want the trim to not look crooked. I set expectations right at the gate. And that have taught me that if the person doesn't like that or is giving me like a high price, then I know that's not my contractor. Number two, I try to make it, I pay them on time. And I pay them as soon as they finish a job, I pay them right away. I stop whatever I'm doing and I pay them because, again, their motivation might be money. And number three, I treat them like family. And this is something that obviously at the beginning, they don't, you know, how you can treat somebody like family, but I joke with them. I don't only make it seem that it's only like, this is a work relationship. I make it seem like, hey, I'm here if you need anything. I have contractors tell me, hey, Andres, literally, I have no job right now. I will do your work. I will give you a good discount. And they approach to me like that. No contractor want to approach like that, but they approach me like that because they, you know, they have to feed their family. And in the winter in Connecticut, it might be rough to find good work and a lot of work. So they come to me and I don't take advantage of them. I'm like, listen, I have work for you. Don't give me a discount. And for them, it's huge. It's a win-win. So if you follow those three things, you will keep them.
I love that. Absolutely. Such gold right there. I appreciate you sharing that. So is real estate, you obviously have the Tenants Academy. Is real estate the only other thing you're involved in? What other ventures do you have going?
So yeah, how about Tenants Academy? Right now we have 48 kids, obviously not at the same time. There's like 16 to 18 kids at the same time. And I'm very blessed that I focus on high performance kids, which is kids that are playing high level high school tennis, college, or even professional. I have trained one kid that played professional. So yeah, it's been a journey. And now I'm expecting in less than a month our first baby. So yeah, I think that's gonna be my my full-time job. I'm gonna definitely hang up the hammer and the computer for diapers, I guess, right?
Oh, well, congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. You have a kid?
No kids. Nope.
No kids.
No kids yet. Soon. Eventually we will, but still got some things to take care of, you know, kind of get to that financial freedom mark.
Awesome.
And travel. A lot more travel first too, you know. It sounds like you've done that already. I'm sure, as you know, that kind of falls by the wayside once you have kids. So
Absolutely. And like I will highly recommend to travel as much as you can before you know build a family, because obviously that's one of the advice a lot of people say. But like I travel because of you know I play professional, and I went to Turkey, Russia. Like I went to countries that like nobody goes, but I didn't get the chance to like really explore their culture that much because I was working. And like when you're working, like it's, you know, you wake up, you eat, train, play tournament, whatever, and then go back to bed. And like when you lose, you want to go to the next destination. You don't want to know anything about the country, anything about anything. So last year, I'm like, you know, screw this. I'm gonna travel. I went to 5 countries last year. I'm so happy about that. And yeah, everybody should travel, especially if you have like, the American passport, which like you can go anywhere. I mean, Americans don't realize how lucky they are. They don't need visa to enter any country, right?
Yeah. Do you have dual citizenship now?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. Well, Andres, this has been absolutely amazing. I really, really appreciate all your insights. I know the listeners do as well. We have a lot of kind of new investors, new to the game. So kind of learning, the different, like, I'm more on the limited side of things, but a lot of people want to be active, right? And so love showing that you can do it and you don't have to go out and buy these big 100-unit apartment complexes, to be successful and to reach that financial freedom. You can have a very manageable portfolio to yourself. So that's awesome. We'll go ahead and wind down here. We'll jump to the final five. First question, best advice you've gotten from a mentor?
I will say, oh my God, this is something that I experienced myself yesterday. I learned from I think Alex Hermosi. He's not my mentor. I mean, I wish.
Right.
But I really admire that guy. And he said one thing. He says like, you don't necessarily want or like to do the job. You have to ask yourself, what is the requirement to do the job? If this is required for me to like be unhappy and just do the job, then do the job. Yesterday, being vulnerable here, I had a really, really bad day. The weather was the worst also. And I'm like, what I require to do today. And I accomplished a lot yesterday, even if I was not feeling great. So yeah, maybe that's my long answer, but yeah.
No, I love it. It's so true. And it's so important. And one thing that I talk about is, you don't always have to be the best, but as long as you show up, that means something. I feel like, and one thing that I love Hermosi for is that he's trying to fight this hustle culture that like, you've got to work 12 hours every single day. If you're not grinding and crying at the end of every day, you're not doing it right. It's like, no, that is not true at all. Sometimes just showing up is all you got to do. And that's all that's needed. So I absolutely love that.
Love it. Yeah.
What is it about your career that makes you feel like you're fulfilling your why?
Helping people 100,000 million times. If I'm being honest, I have reached having more than six figures in my bank account. If you're a real estate investor and you have a lot of money, you're probably not buying enough deals because every time, like if you're a real estate investor, you're like deploying that money to invest. But I think helping people, I've had way more than six figures in my bank account, and I felt so empty. So, and fulfilled everything in my life, happily married, and all that. Have reached high level of success, but helping people is definitely my why, and obviously have the choice to work when I want and spend time with my family. It's my biggest why, I will say.
Awesome. I love that so much. Favorite non-real estate or investment related book?
I will say Atomic Habits has been really, really good book. I think
Great
one of my
book.
favorites. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, incredible.
And incredible book. Highly recommend to everyone. Yeah.
Awesome. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Oh my God. To give endlessly without burnout, but not only to like people, but to my family, to my friends, to give as much as I can and not be burned out. I a lot of people say fly, have a lot of money, but I'm like I think there's a power, and I don't know if it's ego, to be honest. Like I don't know if it's ego, but like helping people, it's just like, and when I get a text, hey, I got a text yesterday. I was having a crappy day, and one of my students says, hey, a year ago, I wrote these three things that you told me to write down, and I've accomplished all three things. Thank you very much. That like made my whole day, and I realized that's a true power to like really influence people and help people, especially people that don't have the means and don't have the education and don't have the habits. Talking about habits of like being successful. So yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. I love that so much. It is, you know, it's kind of one of the things I didn't realize. Like I've always loved to help people, but even when you can just connect to people and that ends up, and it's almost like the bare minimum, like it just is so much more fulfilling than anything you can accomplish. I'm right there with you.
Are you an introvert or extrovert?
No, I'm very extroverted.
Extroverted?
Yeah. You? What about you?
I'm an introvert. That's why I want the power to not be burned out.
Listen, even as an extrovert, my social battery will run to zero and I will have to like take my space. So I definitely feel you there for sure.
Awesome. Good to know.
What's the best way for people to get a hold of you and learn more?
So definitely my Instagram. My Instagram handle is Andres Bernal, is Andres. And my last name Bernal, Bernal. But instead of an L at the end, it's a 1. I'm also on Facebook. I also have a YouTube channel. You can type my name. It's actually The Good Landlord on YouTube. So yeah, any way is good, but mostly on Instagram. I think it's better. If you want to reach out, if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out.
Awesome. I love it. We'll link it in the show notes, make it super easy. Andres, thank you so much. This was absolutely amazing.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you again for tuning in. Who do you know that wants more cash flow? Share this episode with them so you can grow your cash flow together. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you're subscribed on your platform of choice so you never miss a new episode. Go to CataniCapitalGroup.com to learn more.